So this is a slightly unusual way of filling the oil. I'm filling it through here, through the filter housing. Now, one of the reasons for doing this is to make sure oil is going into the oil cooler. Standard capacity for the oil is 4¼ litres. I'm going to put in ½ litre more, but I'm not convinced that's enough, so I'm going to see if I can find out what I should be putting in to cover the capacity of the oil cooler and the pipes leading to it. ½ litre doesn't seem too much, actually, but I'll see if I can find out. But I've put 4¼ litres in it at the moment, just to get some oil into it. So I think I've filled the oil cooler now, because it's going down more slowly, and there were air bubbles coming out of the side here where this top pipe from the cooler comes into the housing. So that's stopped. So I reckon, yeah, looking at the levels, I reckon that's actually probably filled all the pipes and the cooler. This now brings it up to 3 litres. I'm getting a very small bubble each time at the start, because obviously as the oil sinks down, it's running out of the pipe that's coming out of the oil cooler temporarily. So I'm going to get a bit of air in there each time, but it's certainly not showing as much air as it was when I first started. So yeah, all good. So my plan is to change the oil every second track day, or every second race. And I've got an idea that I might do the big ends every 4 races or every 4 track days. Seems a bit excessive, but talking to my mate Rob, the mechanic for 4040, he said they had another engine spin a shell, big end shell, quite recently, so they seem to be a bit prone to it. So I think I'd like to avoid that, obviously. So this is supposedly 4 litres, although I have to say it doesn't match the markings on the side of the can, but I'm measuring it 500 ml at a time. I didn't film everything. I did a couple of jugfuls before I started the camera. So I'm pretty certain this is 4 litres. This is where you get this terrible feeling that you might not have tightened up the sump pan, or tightened up the drain plug, or left a hose off, you know. But I think I'm good. Okay, so this is 750 ml. Probably going to regret trying to do this all in one go. So, new oil filter with the O-rings, new O-rings, top and bottom. I oiled up the O-rings to make them easier to fit. Anyway, I'll tighten that down. I've got to find my funny little spanner thing to tighten it to 25 Newton meters, as it says. And I seem to have lost it temporarily, so I'll find that. I'll get it torqued down, and that's everything now. It's pretty much done. The only thing I'm going to do is I'm going to disconnect the fuel injectors. I'll take the fuse out of the fuel injectors and the fuse out of the ignition system, and then I plan to spin it over to try and get some oil around the engine without it firing up. It hasn't got any plugs in it either. So I'm going to get that done, so that we sort of you know, make sure we've got oil in all the oil galleries, and so that I don't get any initial starvation. Obviously, if you did watch my video where I installed the big end bearings, I did put the pink, I don't know what it's called, slippery stuff around the bearings, and so that should help. But I believe this area now is absolutely complete. The only thing I haven't done is the wiring for the sensors, because I've got to figure out how to get the wires through the bulkhead. And Rob told me how to do that as well. So he says I've got to remove all this white box, and he said there's a channel that goes underneath where I can route the cable. At least I think that's what he said. So I'd rather avoid that if I could, but I don't know, I'll have to do it. The only other thing I haven't got in here at the moment is the fire extinguisher hoses. Really interesting. I've just come back from Croft at the weekend. Had a great fun racing, really good. And the one thing that kept tripping the people up at scrutineering was the new rules regarding the fire extinguisher hoses. So two things came out of what the discussions that I heard with the scrutineers. The first one is the engine bay needs 3 nozzles, and it seems that the belief is one above this area here, one above this area here, one above the fuel rail, and one above the exhaust over here. So 3 nozzles across there. One of the 4040 cars has got the nozzles, 4 nozzles, one in each corner of the engine bay, which is definitely okay, but you might not need to go that far, because it seems that the 3 nozzles are acceptable. The other thing was that one guy's car failed scrutineering because you need 2 nozzles in the passenger area, which he had, but one of them was pointing up at his helmet, and they said if he ever let the thing off, it would asphyxiate him. So they said he's got to reposition the nozzle, and it should point more at your body and at your lap and at your feet. So those are the sort of general, torso, lap, feet, those sort of areas are the acceptable areas, not up at your face. So that was useful information as well.